We all know what early access games are, right? Games that are still in development, that are put up on Steam so you can pay to test them, pretty much. But in reality, I think early access nowadays is perceived differently by most people because they're pretty much treated like a game that's been fully released. Even if that game's been planned to be in early access for a couple of years, people are still expecting it to be pretty much completed day one. So nowadays, I think early access games pretty much need to be completed in one way when they release in early access, and that's either content or optimization. If one of those things are done, well, then either you've got lots of content to play, or what content there is you can play really well. It just sets, I think, like a good start for the game. But what if a game gets both of these things wrong? Welcome to A Twisted Path To Renown, a Wild West themed extraction shooter. So I've been playing this game and I'm going to let you know what I think about it. And for each thing I don't like, I'm going to give the game a cow pat. And for each thing I do like, I'm going to give it a cowgirl. Well, no, a Tifa cowgirl, because Tifa is the best cowgirl, probably. So stick around to see how the game scores. So first off, jumping straight into the main menu, it reminds me so much of Hunt Showdown. And Hunt Showdown's UI is universally hated because there's so many menus and sub-menus and other like sub-menus. It's terrible, and this game is like it's trying to replicate Hunt's UI. So it has a terrible main menu UI. It's just not user-friendly or good. It really needs to be trimmed down. Now, when you go to play the game, you need to recruit a hunter. Really similar to Hunt Showdown, really. But every single hunter you can recruit has negative effects. There's literally nothing good about each hunter. The very first time I booted up this game, I looked at all the hunters available, and then I closed the game down because I didn't want to play it, because why would I want to play as someone that's bad? Comparing this to something like Hunt Showdown, again, you recruit random hunters. The hunters do come with some basic gear, like in this game, but they come with different perks, different good things, nothing negative about them. But we recruit someone and jump into our first raid, and straight away, the graphics are just not good, right? They're just not good at all. There's just something that isn't right with them, right? They just don't look good. Like, I can compare this to older games, and these older games look better. I think Twisted Path is on Unreal Engine 5, but yeah, this game does not look good, and my graphic settings are not max, but they are high. And the general movement in this game, again, like the graphics, it doesn't feel good. It's really quite janky. What it feels like is that the camera has quite literally been stuck on the player model. So you can feel like too much of the player model's movement when you're moving around. Now, in most games, I'm pretty sure they don't literally stick the camera onto the player model. It's usually like hovering in front of them a little bit, so you don't have all this jumpy jankiness and feel too much of the movement. I really think they need to change how the camera has been done. Another thing about the movement is that the general movement speed is really slow, and the map is quite large, I would say, so it doesn't feel like quick enough at all. It's not slow enough to be like a walking speed, but sometimes it can feel like it. They need to buff and increase the movement speed just a bit. And the general controls, I would say, when it comes to sprinting, is not responsive. It doesn't feel like a responsive game. When you press the sprint button to, start sprinting, there's a bit of a delay, and because of this slight delay, yeah, it gives the whole game this unresponsive feel to it. It's not good. The game world itself, like the actual map that you play on, is extremely boring. In these extraction style games, or any game with a large map, you should be able to tell roughly where you are on that map without looking at your in-game map. You should be able to tell based on buildings that are around you or certain types of objects like trees and grass. Each area of the map should look a bit different. But in this game, I think you have a swamp and a burnt tree area, but those are two small locations on the map. So everywhere else looks the same. It's not well designed. They just need to change how the map is. There's not enough diversity in how the entire game world looks. Now, tied into how the game world looks, where everything looks the same, and again, it's like quite empty feeling. There's not enough points of interest around, and in between these points of interest, there's just either emptiness or some trees. There's not enough small areas with cover. It's mainly just sort of flat with trees. So if you get into combat when you're not near a point of interest, you're probably not going to have enough cover because the game world isn't designed for what their game actually is. Now let's talk about the in-game map. So you press the M key to show that map so you can have a look at what's going on. And that map screen is terrible. There's not enough detail on it. It's missing lots of locations. One thing that is quite good is that it tells you which extracts are available on the right hand side. But what it should do is show you where those extracts are on the map. It doesn't. So you need to stop what you're doing, open up the map screen, read the information on the right hand side to see which extracts are available, and then find where they are on the map. And some of these locations just do not make sense. In the very northwest of the map, there's like a north ravine, like extract, but directly below it is the south ravine extract. But really the north ravine is like on the northwest corner of the map, the south ravine is in the west corner of the map. Like, the naming of those two locations don't make sense. And with the extracts available, it's quite limited. I think there's usually about 4 or 5 available, but most of these extracts require other items. And when you're playing the game, you're probably not going to have these items available. So that cuts down half or more of the available extracts. And these extracts are timed. So you could spawn in. The extracts that are actually available to you could be the other side of the map. You start making your way over there, but then they expire, so then you're a bit screwed and have to wait for other extracts to become available. It's not well designed. They need to rethink how they do their extracts. So let's talk about the combat. And like the movement, the combat doesn't feel good. It's janky and is sometimes quite unresponsive. Now some weapons, I think single action weapons, when you fire them, you need to press fire again so you can recock the weapon. And quite a lot of the times, because the game's not responsive, it doesn't really recognise the second fire to recock the weapon, or there's like a delay put into the game until it recognises that you can recock the weapon. Just makes the combat feel really unresponsive and not good. Most of the iron sights in the game are fine, but there are some that are just pretty much unusable. And whenever you fire the weapon, it of course creates smoke at the end of the barrel, but this gun smoke effect is so bad. Now I recognise that during this time there could be more gun smoke being produced by these weapons, but with how that smoke interacts with like the actual light and shadows in the game, it's god awful. I would prefer it if they just reduced the smoke by 75%. Make it look like something that we have today in most other shooters. It also doesn't help that the general sounds of the game, like the walking around sounds and the sounds made by weapons, are terrible. Now with it being an extraction shooter, there aren't just players to contend with, there are AI. Now, most of these AI are incredibly stupid. How they tend to handle combat is either just stand still and do nothing, or bum rush you. Sometimes they have like zero reaction at all to getting shot at, or even if they're in a group of people and you kill one of them, the others just don't react at all. Like the AI, I think like most of the game, is really inconsistent and janky. I've also come across AI that are either invincible or like Avengers level threats, where they're standing still because their AI is too stupid enough to move around, and I'm there shooting them multiple times in the head and nothing happens. This is like basic stuff that just isn't working. One thing that I will say is pretty good, it's a bit different and I haven't seen other extraction shooters do this, but when you engage AI or something happens with you and AI, you'll get these indicators in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, question marks to notify you that AI are like aware and have been alerted of you, and exclamation marks to show you that you are engaged with AI or there are AI hunting you down. That's pretty good, but it could be there to make up for the fact that the AI are pretty bad in general. I'm not sure. I will mention that when I was fighting a group of AI and I was hiding behind a tree trying to heal up, I was attacked by, I think, like a coyote or something. It definitely wasn't a wolf, it was too small to be a wolf. And I didn't know that there was like wildlife at all in the game. But yeah, there is wildlife. I've only seen one of these like coyotes or something. I've seen rabbits and a couple of other things like going around, and that's pretty good. I would say it helps to make the game world feel a bit more alive, and you can kill these wildlife and loot them for like meat and other stuff. So that's something that's pretty good. But when you do get hit in combat, you do get a pain effect because there's a lot of different effects and healing items because they're trying to replicate Tarkov. And the pain effect in this game is god awful. I mean, look at this. Is this what people really see when they're in pain? This is terrible. Like, how did this like pass to like get into the game? This needs to be changed because it's god awful. And we'll talk about the food meters because, again, trying to replicate Tarkov, you've got to have food and water meters to babysit. They deplete really, really quickly. Over the course of one raid, I had to drink like 5+ times to make my character not dehydrate and die. I don't think any single game developer understands that you can go 30 minutes without eating and drinking. You're not going to die. And I'll also say that I think food meters, like food and water meters, do absolutely nothing to improve the gameplay experience. I think food meters should be removed from every single game because they do nothing good. Get rid of them. One other thing that is good though when you're running around the map trying to loot things is that when you hover your crosshair over something that can be looted, you will get this extra like circle icon in the middle of your crosshair to show you that you are looking at something that can be looted. That's pretty good. Good little quality of life thing there. So now it comes to the final score, and I think I counted them correctly. I wonder if you guys did, but the final score is 15 poos to 2 Tifas. Now, I haven't covered every single aspect of the game, and I could have probably taken the subjects I talked about and maybe even broke them down further to, well, talk about them in more detail, but I didn't. And yeah, this isn't really a serious rating system, but generally in final thoughts about this game, what I'd have to say is if someone asked me, should I buy this game now? My answer would be no, not at all. I think this game has released maybe a year or more, like too early into early access. Too many games nowadays release just too early into early access, and that could just kill the game off. I won't be surprised if development just stops on this game at some point, maybe even just quietly stops because the player count is extremely low. That player count isn't really going to grow at all. Yes, they'll get some extra players in maybe during sales, but when this game fully releases, if it ever fully releases, I don't think there's going to be a massive player base and then the game will shut down. If you are really interested in this game, I would say, yeah, wait about a year, year and a half, maybe even 2 years to see what happens with this game. And by that point, there could be something better in this same genre of extraction shooter, and by that I mean like a Wild West cowboy extraction shooter, something else could, yeah, just come out that's better than what the current state of this game is, and then you might as well just play that instead. And really, there is something that's kind of in the extraction shooter Wild West genre that is better than this game. It's a bit different, but it's Hunt Showdown. Yeah, it's like late Wild West and there's like monsters and stuff around, but it's the same sort of style of game, really. You just don't have to collect junk and stuff. It's still about getting in with your guy, getting the bounty and getting out. And Hunt Showdown is an extremely underrated game. It is so damn good. But yeah, final thoughts. Don't buy this game. Wait, a year to 2 years to see what happens, because this game may not even be around in a year to 2 years, and there's no point wasting your money. Right, this game just released too early. If you've played the game, let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. And if you like the video, give it a like. Thank you for watching, and subscribe for more.